Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I call this meeting to order. The city clerk will administer the oath of office to a newly appointed elected council member, Les Cohair.
No, it's the first time you're doing this. Raise your right hand. I, state your name,
David Lefkover,
having been appointed to the office of city council,
having been appointed to the office of city council,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of said office to the best of my ability.
of said office to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help.
Congratulations.
Item number 3, roll call.
Councilman Becker,
Here.
Councilman Jekyll,
Here.
Councilman Lesko,
Here.
Councilman Schultz.
Here.
President Johnson.
Here. Item number 4, public hearing. Tonight, we have none. Item 5, public comment. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for record when called upon: name, address, subject matter, and contact information. No action will be taken on any public comments unless the item is elsewhere on the agenda. Those on the Zoom meeting, if you wish to speak, you have the ability to hold up a virtual hand. And you will be called upon. You'll need to give the same information. We have tonight Nate Friedel.
Nate Friedel, 430 North High Street, Fort. I am the Vice President of the Jefferson Half Mile Club. Tonight to talk to you just briefly about ATV and UTV use. Fort Atkinson is currently the only city within the county with the exception of part of Watertown that is not open. In 2020, Governor Evers put into place 2333, which allowed the entire state to be open, governed by local governments. Since then, over 500,000 of these machines are operating on roadways in Wisconsin safely. These machines are in fact operated across the state safely, and Fort Atkinson would be no exception. Some concerns that we have heard, if people not familiar with the vehicles, such as these vehicles, just the safety issue, these vehicles are safer to operate than motorcycles. I have a motorcycle and a UTV, and it is safer to operate a UTV. Noise, by law, these vehicles cannot exceed 96 decibels. And at 25 to 35 miles an hour through town, the noise they generate is not loud at all, and certainly much less than many motorcycles. They're very practical and convenient. These vehicles are very practical in the sense that they're easy to operate. They have very good gas mileage, making them very good for running errands, picking up groceries, and other tasks that people have to do. They bring an economic and social benefit to the communities. These vehicles have less impact on infrastructure. My truck weighs about 5,000 pounds. My UTV weighs about 1,400. So they have less impact on common roadways and take up less space. One of the other misconceptions is that we'll have a lot of young people running around creating havoc on the roadways. That in fact has not proved to be the case in these last 3 years. And in fact, these vehicles are rather expensive to operate, and the average age is 45 to 65 years old. As such, they're generally well-maintained, cared for, and responsibly operated. A little bit about our club, the Jefferson Half Mile Club. We have a 5-person committee, and then we also have 4 officers. We're heavily involved in our communities. Just one example is that in the last 5 years, our club alone has raised $60,000 for the Fort Atkinson mammogram program. So we are very heavily involved. This isn't just about riding and having fun. We also have a letter from the Jefferson Police Department that I'll just read briefly. It's on behalf of the men and women of the City of the Police Department in Jefferson, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and the members of the Jefferson Half Mile ATV Club for the support of our agency and our efforts to promote ATV and UTV safety. Your support of local law enforcement is truly appreciated and will help promote and strengthen the relationship between our agency, the citizens of Jefferson, and the ATV UTV community. The Defender, which is a vehicle that we help provide to the Jefferson Police Department for patrol purposes. They send their thanks for that. And again, thanks all to all involved in getting this program started. And if we can partner on any other projects in the future, please do not hesitate to contact me directly. That's the Police Chief of Jefferson. We are in fact about writing in closing, I just wanted to say these vehicles are safe for Fort Atkinson. It is the only city fully within the county that we are not able to operate safely in this community. And we just appreciate your consideration in this matter because they are safe vehicles, they are convenient vehicles, and there should not be any issues in all the other towns and cities. There have not been reported issues in those areas. So thank you.
Thank you. Dean Trost.
I got some, usually the board members themselves, sorry, I put it down more, but you're kind of writing in the paper.
Sure.
Hello tonight. My name is Dean Trost. I live in the town of Fort Atkinson, 1315 Montclair Place. I am the president of Atkinson Cruisers. I am here tonight to start to talk about getting Fort Atkinson community city streets open for four-wheelers and UTVs usage. I think we all know that in the past several years, the great, small, quite large cities and towns have been opening up their districts and cities to four-wheelers and UTVs. And all of them here, from what I've heard around, have noticed a positive impact in the community, allowing them to drive on their city streets, roads, and bridges. They also have noticed that not been a nuisance, but learned very quickly it's been a benefit, allowing these vehicles drive amongst them and very considerate to cars, truckers, and all drivers around them. You will not see them being any more common than someone riding a moped or a motorcycle, from what I noticed in the community. These in the area, these vehicles are much safer and than both of those vehicles. And some may think we have too many state roads that run through Fort Atkinson, but that is not the case either, because there are many, many townships and cities that have much busier state roads and highways that run through them also. With and without a bypass that we have in 26. Okay, as a club, we will teach and be considerate and to use these roads and as needed. Okay. Last fall, our club was established, and we got Kushkanon Town Board to open up all Kushkanon with positive feedback. No incidents of any kind. And we put together Kushkanon Cruisers to inform members of all state statutes, rules, and regulations, which are in our bylaws and ordinances, which we put forth to you. And also pay for signages. So we would be willing to, as a club, pay for any signages we would need in Fort Atkinson also. Okay. Needed in townships that allow us to inform of us all roads that we can ride on. That's including the signs. Also, as a club, we try to bring positive feedback and not necessarily policing, but yet inform the bad apples of the rules and regulations they will keep to keep our cities, streets safe. So
You have
as a
about
president
15
of
seconds.
Cushing Cruisers, would like to appreciate the board members to consider taking action on opening up all of our city streets in Fort Atkinson to ATV and UTV usage.
Your time is up,
I'm
sir.
Okay, thank you
Thank you.
very much. Appreciate it.
Any other citizens have comments they'd like to make? Anyone on Zoom have comments they would like to make? First call. Second call. Third call. We'll move on. Item number 6, consent agenda. The consent agenda outlined below is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda by the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after council consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the council president.
I would move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, petitions, requests, and communications. Tonight, we have none. Item number 8, resolutions and ordinances. Item A, third and final reading of an ordinance to adopt the amendment to the City of Fort Atkinson's comprehensive plan. Mr. Selly.
Thank you. As you mentioned, this is the third reading for this ordinance. It appeared first on May the 9th at a joint meeting between the City Council and Planning Commission. At that meeting, we also held a public hearing on the matter. It appeared in its second reading at the City Council meeting on May the 16th and tonight for its third reading. This is generally in the area of the Fort Healthcare Hospital and North, McMillan Street and Handyside Lane. There are 2 parcels on McMillan Street that we're changing from the current proposed, or I'm sorry, current future land use of health facilities to planned neighborhood. There are 5 parcels along McMillan Streets that we are changing from the current future land use of health facilities to planned mixed use. There is 1 parcel on Handyside Lane that is changing from the current future land use of health facilities to planned mixed use. And there are 2 parcels on McMillan Street that are currently listed as multifamily residential that will be changed to planned neighborhood for their designated future land use. Council has had a number of questions about this throughout the process. We have received no comments about this from city staff since the last meeting where this came up on May the 16th. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have this evening. Otherwise, I think we can move ahead with the approval consideration.
Any other discussion?
I thought the memo was well laid out, and I know these items have been discussed previously, so I will make the motion to enact the ordinance to adopt the amendments to the City of Fort Atkinson Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8B, third and final reading of an ordinance relating to the zoning map amendment to change the zoning from institutional to single-family residential, SR5, and duplex, DR8, for the properly formerly addressed at 426 McMillan Street. Mr. Selly.
Thank you. This request was brought up first on May the 2nd at the city council meeting. It was brought up again in a second reading on May the 9th at the joint city council plan commission meeting, and is brought before you this evening, and it's for its third reading. This is a change in the zoning to accommodate the movement of the four houses on North 4th Street that we vacated at the city council meeting. I believe it was in March or April, if memory serves. And the development of a new home on a duplex residential lot. The city council has seen the preliminary plat of this future road that is yet to be built. We have some additional information on that. They'll come before the planning commission meeting next week on the actual dimensions of the road and things of that nature. We have not received any comments about this at City Hall since the last reading that we had on May the 9th, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you might have this evening before considering approval.
Be looking for a motion.
Yep. I move to enact the ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Fort Atkinson to change the zoning of the subject property from institutional to single-family residential and duplex.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item 8C, first reading of an ordinance relating to a zoning map amendment to change the zoning from downtown periphery mixed use to neighborhood mixed use for the purpose located for the property located at 211 Milwaukee Avenue East and 210 South Water Street East. Mr. Selly.
Thank you. The planning commission considered this at their last meeting and moved it forward to city council for their consideration tonight with the first reading. This is a parcel that we probably know better as next to Beauty and the Bean on Milwaukee Street. It is two lots. It looks like a single lot residential parcel by eye, but there is a lot fronting Water Street and a lot fronting Milwaukee. The change was requested in order to provide for some additional development opportunities on that vacant lot. City staff obviously agrees with that. We've not received any feedback from any citizens regarding this request as of yet. I think this is a situation where we would probably move forward at the second reading with requesting a foregoing of the third reading, since we have not received any comments about it, but we'll reserve that request until that meeting in later June. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this first reading here this evening.
President Johnson, just a note, I'll be abstaining on this one due to being directly related to the applicant.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Sorry. Oops.
I'll move to direct the city manager to prepare this ordinance for a second reading at the June 20, 2023 city council meeting.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 9, reports of officers, boards, and committees. City managers report.
Thank
City
you.
Manager Houseman.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to welcome Councilmember David Lesko here. Congratulations on your appointment. Look forward to working with you over the remainder of your term. On May 18th, I attended a housing summit focused on Jefferson County. It was well attended by elected and appointed officials, as well as developers and individuals in the financial industry. The county and the Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation have announced a new revolving loan program to assist in encouraging multifamily development by closing the gap between the cost of construction and affordable rents in Jefferson County. So we'll get more information likely in August on that, and applications will become available. On May 24th, I attended Local Government Day at the State Capitol and was able to attend a Senate committee public hearing on SB 301, which includes additional state shared revenue for local governments. I'll continue to follow these funding bills and do what I can to encourage the investment from the state in our local communities. Clerk Treasurer Finance Director Ebert attended the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Policyholders Conference in May as well. This is a free conference for a representative from each community that's a member, and she returned with a lot of resources for staff, education and training, as well as information on additional grant opportunities. As we know, Chief Roush is planning to retire from his position as fire chief as of June 23rd. At the Police and Fire Commission meeting on June 1st, the commission appointed Division Chief Mike Lawrence to the role of interim chief starting on June 23rd until the point the PFC hires a new chief. The PFC also directed staff to issue a request for proposals for recruitment services, which we did on Friday. The deadline for those proposals is June 23rd. 11 people applied to join the Local Government Academy, which will begin in late July. We did extend the deadline until June 7th to see if we could get a couple more participants. The application and more information about the program are on the city's website, and we do plan to engage with the participants chosen starting next week. We have hired Michael Ashman as a part-time management intern in the city manager's office. He's here tonight. He's a senior in the public policy and administration program at UW-Whitewater and plans to pursue a career in city management after graduation. So Mike will be likely be a familiar face in my office and at meetings through his summer internship, which is completed on August 11th. So welcome, Mike. Our public works operations staff will complete the first 2 months of the altered work schedule this Friday and move to the second 2-month trial beginning on Monday. Crews will be working 4 10-hour days with Fridays off, and we will be soliciting feedback from both schedules to determine a more permanent schedule for staff. We hired Tom Sweeney as the new assistant city engineer. His first day is Monday, June 12th. Tom lives in Port Atkinson and comes to us after working with the Wisconsin DOT. So if you see Tom in the field or in the office, please give him a welcome. Work on Highway 12, Main Street and Whitewater Avenue continues. The sidewalk ramp improvements are about half complete, and the milling and repaving is scheduled to begin in mid-July. The 2023 water main replacement and street improvement work will begin in late July or early August. That work is planned for Florence Street, Rogers Street, and Wilcox Street. Communication efforts will begin later this month. The Fort Atkinson Airport Planning Services request for proposals has been sent out to qualified consultants. Once proposals have been received and a consultant chosen, this planning project will run for a little over a year and set the airport up for improvements over the next several decades. And staff continues to work with Angus Young Architects on finishing the schematic design for the new Public Works and Parks Operations Facility. Next, the team will move into the more detailed interior design and exterior site improvements. The project is still on track for bidding in late 2023. Thank you.
I'd like to add welcome aboard, Mike. Item number 10, unfinished business. Tonight we have none. Item 11, new business. 11A, review and possible action relating to council appointments to committees, commissions, and boards by Council President Johnson.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the council appointments to committees, commissions, and boards by the council president.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11B, review and possible action on the 2022 Department of Natural Resources Annual Recycling Report. Mr. Selly.
Good evening. This is the time of year where we report on how much we recycled in 2022. I won't bore you with any guesses of how close you are. It was 762 tons of material last year compared to 1,005 tons of material in 2021. The DNR pays for a portion of this, but requires us to meet a certain per capita recycling tonnage, poundage, which is 121 pounds or 106 pounds per individual. We hit 121 pounds per individual, so met the requirements to receive our DNR grant. That grant amount is $35,000 from the DNR. The total cost of the program is about $225,000. So it's something to put toward that. So no need for the council to take any action, just simply needed to provide that information to you and let you know that we're continuing those activities. Any questions?
I do. I need a second here.
Sure.
So this is related to like waste management coming to residential houses for.
Correct. Yeah, we contract out our services for recycling as well as waste pickup through GFL.
Okay. One item that had been brought up to me, and this is probably before I actually made it onto city council, especially with like more people doing Amazon purchases or direct delivery to their homes, there's a lot more cardboard recycling. And some people had asked about increasing the recycling pickup to weekly versus bi-weekly. I understand there's a cost associated with that. Do you whether you have that answer now or maybe at another time, what do we know what that possible cost would be to move to a weekly recycling pickup?
I don't know off the top of my head. I do know this has come up in the past. Frankly, recycling sometimes there's more volume than garbage. So we'll find the answer for that and see if I can track down the last time this came up. But I don't have.
We have the answer to that. It's about
Oh, you do?
$250,000.
Okay, like basically doubling the cost. Okay. I'm glad that's out in the open now. Thank you.
Well, it is interesting to note too, that the amount, the tons that you referenced went down in
Yeah, it is kind of
significantly
curious.
in the last year. So it's kind of like we might be getting more of that in our houses, but the numbers show the opposite in what was collected.
Yeah, we were about 300 tons less than we did in 2021.
Okay. I'm curious. I'd be curious to see the data from like 2018, 19 and 20. Like obviously as we hit COVID, people didn't leave their homes,
Right.
You know, and probably found other ways to purchase stuff. So I could see maybe, 2020, 2021 being a high recycling year.
Yeah, I think I have an Excel table that goes back,
Okay.
maybe to 2015 that I can send you that shows some trends.
Yeah.
Is there only one threshold we hit for a dollar amount?
Is there only, yes,
Yeah.
we just have to hit that per capita number of 106 pounds per person. Our recycling area is beyond just the city of Fort Atkinson as well. There's some areas out in the township where a responsible unit that goes beyond just our borders. So anyway, but that's the criteria that the DNR requires us to meet.
Thank you.
Andy, you might have mentioned this already. I think that obviously that grant amount, I mean, it's great that we're getting it, but it's quite a bit lower than what we technically qualified for. That number's kind of been, I think, fixed around the same rate for.
Yeah, if I remember right, the memo used to state that the number is going down when I first started here in 2015-ish, and that is not in the memo now. So I think we've been somewhat steady for, I'm not sure how long, but I'm not indicating that it's going down any longer as I was before.
It would be nice if it went up, but we
Be
probably.
nice if it was 200 and some $1,000s, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you very much.
I'll move to approve the 2022 Department of Natural Resources Annual Recycling Report.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11C. Review and possible action related to alcohol beverage license applications for the remaining or for the licensing period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Thank you. This is the process that we go through every year to renew the alcohol beverage licenses for all the licensed establishments within the city. As a refresher for everyone, the licensing period is July 1st to June 30th, as stated. We begin the renewal process in March. We send a renewal letter to all of the license holders, letting them know when the deadline is and what forms are required. We have those due in April. This allows us plenty of time to review the applications, make sure everything is filled out appropriately, and then we can follow up with any questions of the applicants. Our police department also conducts compliance checks, and we call them compliance checks because it's a positive interaction that they can make with all the license holders with not responding to a call, be it going during regular office hours or business hours, and to make good contacts with everyone. And just to follow up to see if they had any questions for the law enforcement, but then also any questions on the licenses. Just to refresh, the Class A license allows for consumption of the alcohol products away from the premise. There's a Class A intoxicating liquor and Class A fermented malt beverage license. And then Class B is for consumption of the alcohol on site. Class A is typically referred to away because you consume away. Class B, affectionately known to bar, as you consume on site. And then for Class B, there's also the intoxicating liquor and the fermented malt. We have quotas for the Class A intoxicating liquor and the Class A fermented malt, and then also the Class B intoxicating liquor. Of those quotas, 2 licenses available for the Class A fermented malt. So in other words, if somebody would wanted to open a gas station or retail store, they would be allowed to sell fermented malt beverages, but not liquor, as we don't have that license available. We had 46 renewal applications submitted. They were all submitted appropriately. We've gone through those, addressed any questions we had with the license holders. We did have all the inspection reports returned from the police department. There is one location that I have to follow up with our police department. They had some machines that are not appropriate for their licensed facility. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council had on the licenses or any of the businesses.
Just one brief question on that.
Yes.
What's the difference between the regular Class B and Class B reserve?
Good question. Back in 1997, the Department of Administration imposed a quota that basically stopped allowing municipalities to increase the number of Class B intoxicating liquor licenses. Okay. So at that time, the number of licenses you had based on your population is kind of like the max they allowed. Any increment of 500 residents or increase in population over that would allow you to get one more license. It would be considered a reserve license. And at that time, it was certain stipulations on it. There still are a few stipulations on it. Initially, that reserve license came with a $10,000 price tag. There was a short time that the state had allowed that to be reimbursed to the business as the grant. Since then, they have taken away that allowance. So the few reserve licenses that we have, should those businesses decide to close or maybe sell the business and someone wants to buy the business, the person would have to apply for that license, but they would also have to pay that $10,000 for that license.
Okay.
So it is still the same allowances as a non-reserve, but it's just some different fees.
Okay.
Then just as a refresher, there aren't any other like reserve licenses available from local jurisdictions?
There are not. I did check with surrounding town of Jefferson. They may have one available, but they discussed with the board and the board decided not to pursue and to look into if there was one available. I'll follow up with them in a few months to see if that was something they want to consider.
Yeah.
If they do have one available, we could purchase it from them. The price would be up to $10,000, but then we would in turn charge the applicant that $10,000 fee. One of our reserve licenses we did purchase from the town of Koshkonong several years ago for $10,000, which then we in turn charge the applicant that $10,000. Yes, and we are 391 residents away from our next reserve license. So Banker Road Development, here we go.
That's what I was gonna ask. So
Yes.
what is our official population right now?
12,583. So we're 391 away. I actually wrote down that number tonight, so.
Have a discussion?
Do we have a motion yet?
I move to approve the renewal alcohol beverage license applications listed in the staff report for the licensing period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, contingent upon all monies owed to the city are paid prior to license issuance by the city clerk.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11D, review and possible action relating to cigarette and tobacco products retail license applications for the licensing period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Thank you. The businesses that have sold cigarettes and tobacco products in the past did apply for a new license. It's not considered a renewal as there's not a quota set for cigarette licenses. However, they do need to apply for a new license every year. The fee is $100, which is established by statute, and we cannot adjust that. Our ordinances or state statutes and ordinance does not require the council to approve this list of licenses. However, I've always felt it was appropriate for the council to be aware of what licenses that are issued from the clerk's office, especially these dealing with selling articles that you have to be a certain age to purchase. We did have one local bar that did have a license to sell tobacco products. Specifically, they sold cigars. They decided not to renew it as it just did not prove to be a revenue source for that business. And again, happy to answer any questions on the cigarette licenses.
I move to approve the cigarette and tobacco products retail license applications for the licensing period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, contingent on all monies owed to the city are paid prior to license issuance by the city clerk.
Second. The motion in a couple of seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11E, review and possible action relating to alcohol beverage license application for the licensing period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Thank you. This is, as again, a separate item as this deals with a different license specifically. For the past many years, Connie Jansen has had a licensed facility formerly known as Jansen's Banquet Hall, most recently Remington's LLC. This was at 1245 Whitewater Avenue. They had sold the building several months ago to Corey and Maren McGrath. McGraths are opening McGrath Catering, and I believe there was an article recently about that. McGraths purchased the building a few months ago, and they have been working jointly with Jansen's for any working jointly together using Jansen's alcohol license, which is completely appropriate while this time that they're waiting for theirs to be approved. I do believe they were also doing some renovations, so they haven't been open very much. I did have a letter from Jansen's saying they would surrender their license contingent onto the approval by McGrath, which is the appropriate procedure that we have done for licenses as we are at quota and we have none available. And then should McGrath not be approved for it, the license would stay with Jansen's. I'm happy to answer any questions about this application.
You say they're a catering service, so they intend to continue to host weddings?
They are. So Mr. and Mrs. McGrath used to own Crawfish Junction. So they're well known to the food industry and they're very excited to have their own location and to continue offering various services at that location.
Excellent. Weddings at that location were a good fit to what the building was.
I'll move to approve the alcohol beverage license application for the licensing period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024 from McGrath Catering, contingent on all monies owed are paid prior to licensing issuance by the city clerk.
Second.
Having a motion in a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, miscellaneous. We have none tonight. Item 13, claims, appropriations, and contract payments. Item A, review and possible action relating to the verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorization of payment.
I move to approve the verified claims as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? This is a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Jekyll,
Aye.
Councilman Lesko here,
Aye.
Councilman Schultz,
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 14, adjournment
I move to adjourn.
with a unanimous motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carries.